pleased to be joined by Team of the Year and NHL award winner, Hilary Knight. Hilary, congratulations. You're a member of Team of the Year for the 2023 season. Just what does that mean to you hearing that?
Thank you so much. It's a huge honor. Obviously, we play and we compete amongst great players, and to be recognized the Team of the Year is pretty incredible. And I know it's for 2023, so I guess I get to start working again for 2024.
Absolutely. And the work, it doesn't stop because there are a lot of exciting things on the horizon. But when you look back at your 2023 year, what are the things kind of that stand out to you? A lot of milestones and obviously winning gold at the IIHF World Championship in Canada, the rivalry game for gold, and you scoring a hat trick, recording your 100th point. Like outside of those things, or those things are pretty amazing, but anything else that stands out to you?
Oh gosh. Obviously, world winning a world championship, it hangs pretty high up on the mantle. Just because, we haven't had success on the world stage for it felt a handful of years at that point, from right before the Olympics, the Olympic year, and then following that. So it was a tremendous honor for us to be able to capture gold in the fashion that we did. It was a lot of fun to be able to win on sort of enemy soil and bring back a W to the United States. But it's always fun to represent your country and play with great people.
Love that. And as far as hat tricks go, that's got to rank pretty
Yeah.
highly. If that's not your first hat trick and first kind of ranked hat trick in your career, I want to know what is. But what would your second be behind that one?
Oh my goodness. Probably my first ever, right? You never forget your first hat trick. But no, I mean, you just sometimes you feel it and you just have to go with that. And we're sort of given a nice opportunity to even it out. And then obviously being on a 5-on-3 is a great challenge to find the back of the net. It's always nice when you have a couple extra attackers out there, but the way that everything sort of worked out, it was sort of storybook for me personally. But yeah, I mean, when you play with great people, good things happen, and sometimes you just feel it and you find the back of the net, and that was the story for me in this last World Championship.
It was an incredible run. It was incredible to watch and see live, and just even just being on. I feel like that made it even cooler. Was just the silencing of the crowd and just
Yeah.
getting to. I'm sure for you as a player too, that probably feels even better when
it's
you love the
yeah.
cheers, but the silence of the crowd's gotta feel pretty cool too.
It definitely feels cool. It's a little eerie at first, but it's tough because you hear our friends and family section start the Team USA chant, and then just this bellowing Canada chant, right? And you're like, oh man, like what do we do with that? So it's definitely odd when you can sort of hear a pin drop in the arena, but if you're the away team, you're doing something right.
Now, looking ahead to 2024, any New Year's resolutions? What are you looking forward to most in the new year? Any things or goals you're personally looking to accomplish, not only on the ice but off the ice as well?
Yeah. Well, I'd say on the ice, it's exciting because the PWHL launch and you have the best players in the world playing in one location, competing against one another night in, night out. So that's pretty exciting. And being from Boston, we'd love to bring another title back to the Boston area. But off ice, I'd say, and yeah, just spending more time, I think, in the summer to kind of chill. We're gonna be going a lot this year and close into the summer with our schedule and the way that the season shakes out between rivalry and upcoming world championships. Another one that we want to capture as well, especially being on home soil. But yeah, just spending time with friends and family, making time for those moments to happen because it is go 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 and it's a lot of fun when you're on the go competing with, whether it's with Team USA or a pro season, but also taking a little step back at times to really enjoy time with friends and family for sure.
When this interview comes out, the season will have already started. So, more just general thoughts about the start of the season, matchups maybe you're excited for. You've played against a lot of your Team USA teammates over the years on Dream Gap Tour
Mhm.
and just different competitions. But is there a player you haven't played against maybe that you're really looking forward to that first matchup, or any other dates you've got circled on the calendar aside from the first game?
Gosh, I haven't really thought about matchups specifically. I think I had what I had in my mind before we went into preseason and training camp, and what I thought would be good matchups team wise didn't necessarily stack up. So I'm really curious to see how the season unfolds and how those storylines continue to build amongst different teams. And obviously, you have the storied Montreal versus Boston. And I feel like that's going to be very, really prevalent, whether that's, on the men's side or on the women's side. So that's going to be a really exciting game and matchup for us, being from Boston.
That one's a massive one. And also just with the personnel on the other side too, I feel like
Yeah,
obviously Captain Canada on one side, you've got Captain USA on the other side. It's one of those things that everyone's going to be looking forward to that matchup for that specific reason too.
for sure.
As far as the PWHL goes, I know during the scrimmages in Utica, some rule changes and tinkering were
Hmm.
kind of tried, specifically like the power play stuff, the shorthanded stuff. Anything that stood out to you that you'd want to see going forward, or are you just more into,
No, I don't
yeah,
want any
just
of
keep
it.
that
I don't
off
want
the
any of it.
sideline?
It's okay. It's not that I'm like a hockey purist or a traditionist, or it's just there's a way that I think the game is played, and a way to respect the game. And just because we're starting this new thing, I don't think necessarily we need to change the rules, so to speak, to make the game more attractive in any way. So, it's always great to try new things, but I don't necessarily foresee any of those things making a big splash in the meantime. I'd say that sort of the long change twice a period is tough, but it's really confusing mentally. You're just not used to it, I guess, unless you're a center, right? So that was difficult. And then quickly, if you score on a power play, you don't expire your time, right? And so that was just challenging in itself, because we were on the other side of it where we took two penalties, and it could have cost us 5 goals. So we could have been 5 goals deep going into the second period and had to crawl our way out of that. So I'm really glad that they were able to try these different things to see how they would work in practice. And I'm curious to see what we'll try moving forward. Obviously, you want to emphasize goals, and that's what the fans want to see. We're letting the players play a little bit more with the physicality, which is exciting. So you're going to see a skillful game and also a physical one as well. And I think anything that keeps the game moving and keeps it fast is going to be attractive to the fans. So looking forward for that to continue to develop.
Absolutely. And like you said, I don't think the NHL would be experimenting with those rules as well. If you
Yeah.
love hockey, you love the purest form of hockey. It's always nice to try these things, but when the games come down to it, it's the purest form of hockey. I'm with you there. Let's get back to NHL 24 and Ultimate Team. I don't know how much Ultimate Team you play or NHL 24 you play, but I want to just ask you to build some dream lineups here. Hockey Ultimate Team, obviously a very popular mode where now you can mix the male and female players all in one, which is amazing. So you've got Hilary Knight on the same line as Connor McDavid, and you're
Hmm.
scoring goals and taking on your friends, which is great. So if you're building a lineup of, let's say, an all USA lineup, who would you have on that forwards, goalie,
Ooh.
and defense?
All USA lineup. And I can pick three, two, and one. Is that
Yeah, three, two, and one.
okay? Um, Ever or like current players?
Yeah, they've got legends in the game. Go wherever you want to go with it.
Oh my goodness. Um, this is a tough question. There's so
Or
many
we
good
can
players.
split it up. We can split it up current and then legends if that makes it easier.
Yeah, I'd say, well, okay, so I would just say Cami Granado, because she's like just like icon, right? Just legend. And then for me, like as a little kid, just that would just be like a dream come true. But Amanda Castle. So I guess that's three of us, because I'd probably want myself in the mix there. Um, and then, oh my goodness, this is tough. I would say I'll go current. I'll go Megan Keller and Savannah Harmon. And then goalie, my goodness, I'll go Nick Hensley.
It's an all-star lineup if I've ever heard one. That is an amazing starting six.
Yeah, and obviously there's so many like I'm thinking okay like Lee Steckline, right? But yeah, there's just so many great players that you can slot in. So yeah, maybe we should have done like previous and or former and current, but no, I mean there's just great talent. Just speaks to the game and where it's going, which is exciting.
Absolutely. What about maybe just a forward line of players you've never actually played with before?
Well, I don't know if Pooh counts because I played with her up in Montreal for a little bit, but so probably MPP myself. Um, Mueller, who I'm currently playing with now, but I'll toss her in. Jenny back at D. And I'll go. Mira at D. I'll do double fin D. And then goalie, let's see. Probably Kim St. Pierre.
There we go. And this is a possibility not just in NHL 24, but who knows? Trades happen, signings happen, people are switching
Yeah.
teams in the PWHL. So you never know what kind of lineups you'll see, which is the exciting part of one of the many exciting parts of this league. A couple segments we want to do. This is called My First Time. So I'm just going to give you some prompts of a bunch of hockey things and a little story, quick answer about each one. So the first one is first time playing an NHL video game.
First time playing an NHL video game, I pressed every single button. And I
Do you
was
remember what
dangling.
NHL it was?
Yeah, 98. Yep. Yeah, I did. It was PC. Yeah. Yeah.
Just
And
button
so,
mashing.
you get like, yeah. And then you sort of figure it out. That's actually my favorite one. So simple.
Ooh, nice. Love
Yeah.
it. First time you broke a hockey stick.
Oh, first time I broke a hockey stick. I don't specifically remember, but I remember breaking like two in one go. So I broke my first one, and then literally a couple shifts later, I broke the second one. And I was actually at Cami Granato's hockey camp in the summer, and she let me use her stick. And I was like fangirling. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the best thing ever. Because it's just so cool.
That's the best broken stick story I think you can have. I feel like
Yeah.
usually growing up, you're like, oh gosh, my parents just bought me this expensive stick. Like, I'm not going to be able to get another one
Oh
now.
no.
That's the
We
best
didn't
one.
have we didn't have expensive sticks. We had like the wooden ones because my mom's like, we have four kids, right? So she's like, I'm not gonna get you expensive sticks that are just gonna break. And then as soon as we got like a little bit more serious with it, we got sort of the composite thing and whatnot.
Yeah,
But I think subconsciously, I don't know, like I just felt like the second time I was gonna break the stick and I was like, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be cool if? And then it just happened. I was like, oh my gosh.
that is wild.
So
What an awesome story. First hockey jersey you ever owned.
first hockey jersey I ever owned was a Chicago Wolves jersey, I think.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like I read that was like the team you cheered for growing up, obviously
Yeah.
living in Chicago.
Yeah, because honestly the Blackhawks weren't on TV and it was just easier just where the AHL team was located. We could go watch the Chicago Wolves and they had like the pregame show and stuff and it was really family friendly and whatnot. And I remember, begging my dad for a jersey. And I think he said yes, and then he realized like how expensive jerseys were and totally regretted it soon after. But yeah, it's cool to be able to have that experience as a kid and just be able to go to a pro game.
Absolutely. First time you played against someone that you felt was better than you, that kind of drove you.
Oh boy, I would say as soon as I got onto the national scene, that would just be like an aha moment where things just really change. You're like, okay, like I really need to pay attention to everything to try and absorb as much as possible. But um, actually, oddly enough, when I played against who would then become my teammates, Megan Duggan and Erica Lawler, before our Wisconsin days together, we played each other in prep and we just had a sort of a sludge fest. Like it was going back and forth, and I was like, wow, like these guys are pretty good. So that was my first taste of being like, okay, like we need to step it up. We need to work on other things and make sure we're ready next time.
That must have been fun to be teammates after that, just being able to tell both sides of those battles.
Yeah, if anyone can attest to playing with or against Megan Duggan or an Erica Lawler, you definitely want to play with because they're just fierce competitors, even in mini games, right? Like in small games in practice, you're like, nope, like I'll be on their team. So they just love it.
Definitely what you want in teammates. First time someone famous followed you on Instagram that you were just like, holy crap, this person just followed me.
I don't know. I don't know.
That's okay.
I don't have a good answer for you. Yeah.
That's
Sorry.
okay. No, do not apologize. I mean, if that's it, that's it. First time you took a penalty.
First time I took a penalty, I think I like pushed away someone else's stick in the opposite direction. I actually did not know that was a penalty, and I got the penalty for it. I got marched over to the penalty box, and I sat there and I cried because I was so ashamed and disappointed in myself.
That's a weird. I don't know how old you were when that happened, but that's a weird penalty for a ref to call if it's like a young level of hockey too.
So weird, right? I
That's
was
like,
just
why are you
like,
calling that?
it was so obvious, and I thought I was being so crafty with it too, because I was like, oh, like this person needs their stick. I'm just gonna push it further away as they're reaching for it, and then sure enough, just right into the box.
I feel like we've all done that
Yeah,
when we see a stick of our opponent lying there, so can't blame you for even
yeah.
trying it. Let's see, we got a few more of these. First player to take a picture of you when they were a kid that you later became teammates with. So I know there are a lot of young players on the Team USA team now
Yeah.
where they've shared selfies with you at camp. So is there the first one you can think of that did that?
Oof. Probably Hannah Brandt, I want to say. I feel like before the 2010 like Olympic Games, we must have visited her school or something like that. And I think there's like a picture. So she's probably the first one. But since there's been quite a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it must be a cool feeling to feel that, but like you said, there have been a lot of them since, which I mean, it just goes to show just how you've inspired so many players across the not only the US but in North America, across the world to just want to play hockey. So that must be a pretty cool feeling for you when you see those pictures.
Yeah, it's full circle for sure.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right, couple more. First hockey battle scar.
Oh boy. Hockey battle scar. Probably on I have a scar on the inside of my pinky finger, and I just absolutely got wrecked, and fell. And so my stick cut my finger open, and that would
Oh,
be probably my first.
dang.
Yeah,
When
just
how
a
old were you
pressure
when that
cut.
happened?
I don't even remember, but it's just funny. Like sometimes I just look at it and laugh. I'm like, oh my gosh, like remember when you got destroyed? But
It's a
yeah,
violent game.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
never know what can
Yep,
happen.
it's
And
tough.
last
Yeah.
one for you. First memory of playing against Canada.
First memory of playing against Canada was, I think, lining up against like Goyette and being like, oh my gosh, like this is legit happening. Because you hear about these people, you read about them, and then all of a sudden you're just there. It was pretty special because um, it's US versus Canada. There's no greater rivalry. But yeah, skating out to the dot for a lineup was pretty significant. I'll always remember that moment. So that was pretty fun.
Do you ever, or does the rivalry and like just the significance of it sink in like immediately when you first play them? It's just like this is it. Like
Yeah, you
this
feel
is
it.
yeah,
You
yeah.
feel it. And it doesn't really even need to be spoken about. You just like you can feel it from all the other, people in the room, and it's a big game. And I'm actually, this is from the 2007 Worlds in Winnipeg, and you've got the crowd that's just wild, and that was quite like an eye-opening experience. I think at the time it might have been like an attendance record of some sort. So that, going from high school to that, it was incredible to experience something like that because they don't prepare you for it. And then on top of it, just the feeling of how deep the rivalry is, and the back and forth and how the media plays it up as well. I mean, it's just all of it. So it was a very significant moment for me.
That's incredible. Couple more questions on the list. We got to ask about the skates as well because you're getting a skate
Mm-hmm.
trophy for being part of the team of the year. I know that there have been kind of like skate culture is becoming a more popular thing. Like I know Bauer's done some work where it's like they put the flags of the countries for World Juniors or
Yeah.
World Hockey Championships on skates and things like that. Just what do you think of skate culture overall, how it's changed? I feel like I read an interview or watched an interview with you. You said when you started skating, you wanted like the clips on your skate laces and wanted to finish drills um, first when it was power
Oh
skating or
yeah.
something like that. So I don't
Yeah.
know if there's
Or
any
like the
tie
little
into that as
buttons. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But just skate
Yeah.
culture in general and maybe what you'd customize your skates with aside from maybe the USA flag.
Yeah. I mean, obviously sneaker culture is huge, right? And I think the more customization, the modifications you can do to equipment nowadays, sort of the sky's the limit. So I think it's pretty cool if someone has a solid like wrap or customization on their skates. So I'm excited for this award. But it's a fun take on a very traditional sport, and when you can sort of infuse an individuality or some sort of like celebration of whatever it may be. I think it's a really unique opportunity and one that you can take advantage of for sure.
What would you put on your custom skates, if you had to choose, if you're making like a top three things, like, okay, I want these things on my skates to represent who I am when I'm on the ice.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm a huge fan of like the all like blacked out skates right now, with like some hints
Ooh.
of gold and stuff. But I don't know, things like just having the dog on there, some mountains, because I love, when we're out of season, I like going to the mountains. My teammates joke that they can't get me out of the mountains. So it's like, oh, you came back to the mountains. Yep. But no, just probably my bike. I don't know. I'm just trying to think some really cool design. I would probably put it in the hands of someone who's super creative and just can absolutely knock it out of the park, just to make sure that my skates are just absolute fire in comparison to anyone else's. So I'd be competitive from that standpoint, and hopefully that would get infused through the design somehow.
I think we're gonna see it at some point soon. I got a feeling that we'll see those
Yeah.
custom skates. And your dog is awesome. I just seen your when you signed with Boston, him in the background, just
Just chilling, yeah.
mean mugging. It was amazing.
He's
I've
just
got
always grumpy.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It was one. I think it's the favorite contract signing picture. It's like it's right up there with Joe Thornton doing the lawnmower signing. I think yours
Yep.
is right there with it because
Thank you.
of your dog. It was incredible.
Yeah.